Paul writes in the book of Romans of how we glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. And that's the mindset I want to take as we look at Josee, the tiger, and the fish, because the core of this anime is that very concept. This is a very short romance movie, but I think that's good because that means it doesn't drag on and on. There are stakes, but they are limited in number. It's basically about how this guy becomes this girl's caretaker and the bond that forms afterwards. That's the key highlight of this movie, which is simply how wholesome it is. You'll see what I mean when you actually watch it, but I absolutely adore this movie. Automatically a 9 out of 10 because, as is expected of an anime movie, everything in it is so beautifully crafted, and there's no other way to describe it than to simply observe how much care has gone into this movie to be made. Yeah, there's CG in it, but it's been incorporated in a way that it's not noticeable. I think that's been my big annoyance recently with movies that incorporate CG, because you've got this massive budget not to create a fully fledged series, mind you, but slap on bad CG, as was done in Suzume and I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, kinda ruins the viewing experience. However, this anime doesn't just slap it on without consideration. The music is also cute and adds to the movie in a positive way and keeps the energy up at the same time. But the biggest contribution to the wholesomeness of Josee, the tiger, and the fish is of course the characters themselves. I think the reason why these characters work so well is because we have a guy, Tsuneo, who's got so many dreams and ambitions that he endures through short-term difficulties in order to later gain. I think his age matters a lot too, because he's out of high school, ready to make plans and achieve his goals, and he's not just a teenager where the stakes are so low, but he's a uni student ready to make a difference. He does go through that cycle of suffering, perseverance, character, and hope, as we later see in the movie without giving any spoilers, though compared to Josee, Tsuneo's journey doesn't really stand to Josee's life. Josee really is that living embodiment of the Roman cycle, because as a disabled person, she suffers as she opens up to the real world after having been cooped up in her home for so long, perseveres as she comes to terms with her independence, and that's the most I can tell you without spoiling, and creating character as she matures into this strong young woman, and eventually becoming hopeful and excited for a future where she can be confident to live just like anyone else. The struggle of the disabled person to achieve normalcy. I think I love her character so much because you really get a sense of how fragile she is, that if you held her in your hands, you'd have to be so careful because she might just snap in half. She's delicate both physically and emotionally and makes the biggest contribution to the narrative itself. So it is with this context that I want to add my reflections on the burdens that are given to us. I say this because it's very easy to say that the reason why we have broken bodies is because of our broken world, and it originates from the original sin of Adam and Eve. Sin entered the world through Adam, and we look forward to Jesus who will make everything right again when he creates a new heaven and new earth. And we'll get new bodies which are perfect, and someone like Josee gets to stand and no longer suffer. It's so very easy to say that, and I hold that hope and those promises that God has for us. However, I sympathize with those in which the struggle and the suffering is so intimate, and I realize for us with bodies which are perfectly fine, the genuine struggle that those who are disabled have. I acknowledge that it's a real struggle that many have, that why would God allow different people to carry these different burdens, whether it's a physical disability or a mental struggle that one goes through. And of course, I don't just want to wave those concerns away. Though in my time being in fellowship with so many people, including those who are disabled, first comes the great love and acceptance that one can receive. And if you grew up in a hyper-charismatic background where they tried to exercise you because they treated your illness as a demon, then allow me to say sorry on behalf of these other Christians, and know that the power, love, and promises of Christ are so vast, and I want to say that you are always welcome into Christ's kingdom. Though second of all, in interacting with so many other people who possess different struggles and temptations, some even akin to Paul's own thorn in the flesh to keep him from being conceited, that's not to say that my own mental struggle with temptation and sin is on the same level as the struggles that someone who's disabled who has to face with so many difficulties. Though my point is that we all suffer at various levels wherever we're at in life. We simply suffer in different areas, whether they be material, spiritual, physical, etc. Ultimately though, the reason why God allows our suffering really is an exercise to create perseverance, character, and hope. And if you can't accept that, then let me ask you, what other hope would you have? God guides us, protects us, and allows us only to be tempted to what we can bear. In my own struggle and sin, without God, what would I have? For Josee, of course, she gets to have a person who loves her for who she is. Our world can temporarily give you hope, but the grace and perseverance that Christ gives to us as a gift has a far greater impact. So a very long discussion of the themes present in this anime, but ultimately it's the love that Tsuneo has to continue to journey with this young woman alongside the commentary on suffering is what makes Josee, the Tiger and the Fish a Christian anime. For which, if you are interested in another romance anime, I recently did a video on Violet Evergarden.